Welcome to Botany Lecture. This is Professor Hidalgo. And for our first topic, this is what I consider to be the most important topic that we need to discuss in this course. This is chapter 1 on your textbook. You can see this on pages 2 to 12, which is what is plant biology. This chapter introduces you to botany, what it is, how it is developed, how it relates to our everyday lives, and what its potential for the future. We are going to discuss the following topic: the relationships of humans to their environment, the effect humans have on the environment, human and animal dependence on plants, botany as a science. We're going to review about scientific method, and diversifications of plant studies or botanical disciplines. In here, we are going to include a brief introduction to the beginning of plant study in ancient civilization. We are also going to look at the development of botany after the inventions of the microscope. Finally, we will conclude with a brief survey of the major disciplines with the field of botany. What's the effect of human have on the environment? It's been estimated that by year 2025, human populations will exceed to 7.8 billion. The populations continues to grow, but the Earth capacity remains the same. So what are the impacts of population growth on the environment? First, drained wetlands. Note that drained wetlands which have been forested or used for agricultural purposes are a significant potential source of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide. Another is cleared natural vegetation. When we say natural vegetation, that means that any plants or trees that grow on their own naturally without any form of human intervention. The origins of some types of plants have been displaced with growing technology and trade, and in some respect have been the cause of some damage to the natural vegetation of certain countries. The rhododendron, for example, is a native to Spain and Portugal. However, it is now regarded as a common representative of British countryside when it is in bloom. This plant was introduced to British Isle during the Victorian period when Britain saw a huge expansion to their trade and empire. Yet, it is believed that the rhododendron has been the cause for the destruction of much of the natural vegetation in Britain. Uh, for where the conditions are suited for this particular plant, it will smother and destroy any competing plant in the vicinity. Another, damp waste and pollution. When we talk about pollution, it means substance introduced by humans either directly or indirectly. This results in harm to living resources. It can hazard human health, hinder marine activities, or spoils the quality for use of water. Human activity can pollute all parts of the environment, water, land, and air. Lastly, use of pesticides and herbicides. Pesticides and herbicides, as we all know, these are created to help us manage pests such as harmful insects, arachnids, rodents, and weeds. Unfortunately, whatever is lethal to a pest or weed will usually cause illness also to humans, to animals, and to plants. So to prevent further problem causes by this human activity, we are urged to reduce our environmental impact. This is by number one, changing agricultural practices. So farmers usually burn the land to get rid of the weeds. This practice does not only contribute to the rapid loss of forests, it also inhibits regenerations of tree seedlings. The fire also destroyed what little organic matter remains in the soils. Another example, overgazing, which is one big problem in many parts of of the world. Overgrazed lands also become barren. Another impact, render pollutant harmless. Another is recycling, using waste materials into new products to prevent waste of potentially useful materials like the papers, cans, boxes, and glasses. Replacing pesticide with biological pest control. When we talk of biological control, this is a method of controlling pests, including insects, weeds, and plant disease, using other living organisms. Example is nematodes, which are released at rates of millions and even billions per acre for control of certain soil-dwelling insect pests. Conserving water and energy. Managing fresh water as a sustainable resource to protect the water environment and to meet current and future human demand. Examples of tips that we can do to conserve water is by using high efficiency clothes washers, by using garden hose nozzles that shut off water when it is not being used instead of letting a hose run, and by using automatic faucet. For conserving energy, we can do activities like turning off the lights when nobody is in the room. This goes especially for bathroom and common room when they aren't occupied. Avoid the phantom load. Appliances such as your TV, DVD player, cell phone charger, etc. consume energy just by being plugged in. Unplug them when not in use. Another tip that I can suggest is by washing your clothes in cold water. It just works just as well as warm water. It will keep it will keep the color from bleedings and save the energy that would have gone to heating the water. Another tip is by power down your computer when not in use. For desktop, turn off the monitor when you aren't using it. And many other tips that I know that you are practicing at home. Preserving habitats and species, especially conservation reliant species. So prevent their extinction, fragmentations, or reduction in range. Human and animal dependence on plants. So plants convert the sun's energy into energy that is usable to plants and to animals. In the process, plants produce oxygen and remove carbon dioxide in the air we breathe. Plants are the sources of multiple products of human society. First one, food, like fruits, vegetables, spices like condiments, perfumes, scents of flowers, fruits, woods that we put in our soap, in our laundry soap. We put it into our tub for relaxing and anti-stress effect. Example of scents that we like. I like personally is eucalyptus, rosemary, and lavender. Dyes. These are pigments extracted to flowers or leaves or any other parts of the plants to give colors. Beverages like coffee, juices like grapes, oranges, cranberries, soda like Coke, root beer, ginger ale, teas, beers, and wine. Lumber, also known as timber, is a wood in any stages for use as a structural material for constructions, or wood pulp for paper production. Paper, it is produced by pressing together moist fiber, typically cellulose pulp derived from wood, grasses, and even fruit skin or peeling, and drying them into flexible sheets. And examples of fruits that can be used to make papers are pineapple, corn, banana, and even apple peeling. Clothing, some of example of clothing material is cotton. Cotton fabric is made from the fibers that grow around the seed of the cotton plant. Linen also is an example. This is made from the fibers of the flax plant and is much more of a luxury fabric than cotton. Another is a hemp fabric, which is made from the stems of the cannabis sativa plants. Plants also used as medicines, or what we call herbal medicines or herbalism. Herbalism is the study and use of medicinal properties of plants. Example, aloe vera. Leaves are widely used to heal burns, wounds, and other skin ailments. Chamomile, used over thousands of years for a variety of conditions, including sleeplessness, anxiety, and gastrointestinal conditions such as upset stomach and diarrhea. Garlic, widely used as an antibiotic and more recently for treating cardiovascular disease. Lavender was traditionally used as an antiseptic and for mental health purpose. Coal and oil. Coal is a fossilized plant materials, and oil came from microscopic green organisms or animals that either directly or indirectly were plant consumers. Alternate energy sources. So plants also can be used as an alternative energy sources like biodiesel from corn, jojoba, sunflower, mustard, coconut, and many other plants still being discovered to be that or to be appropriate or can be used as a biodiesel. Let's move on to our second part, which is botany as a science. As we all know, botany is the study of plants. The word botany came from the Greek word botanikos, meaning botanical. It and botanists are scientists who study plants. At first, interest in plants was practical. It is centered around the productions of food, fibers, fuel, and medicines. Eventually, an intellectual interest arose, led to plant study becoming a science. Science involves the observation, recording, organization, and classifications of information. Science uses technique in scientific method. Scientific method describes the procedures of developing and testing hypotheses. Hypothesis is a tentative unproven explanation of an observation. So after giving your hypothesis, next first doing your scientific method is the experimentation. This is the test to determine if a hypothesis is correct. Experiment should always be repeatable. and it consists of variables. Variables are aspects of experiment that can be changed or held constant. Good experiment consists of two parts: the variable that change, which is the dependent and independent variables, and variable held constant, which is the control variables. After experimentation, you are going to gather results from the experiment, which is data gathering. After data gathering, you will come up to a conclusions, and after if um if a useful generalization derived from experimental data, it became a principle. If it further studied and repeated, it will become a theory, which is grouping of related principles. Let's move on to botanical disciplines, plant anatomy, which is the study of internal structure of plants. Italian doctor and microscopist Marcello Malpighi was one of the two founders of plant anatomy. He published his Anatomia Plantarium, the first major advance in plant physiology since Aristotle. The British doctor Nehemiah Grew was one of the two founders of plant anatomy. He published an idea of a philosophical history of plants and the anatomy of plants in 1682. Grew is credited with the recognitions of plant cells, although he called them vesicles and bladders. He correctly identified and described the sexual organs of plants, which is the flowers and their parts. Plant physiology. This is concerned with plant functions. John Baptist van Helmont published what is considered the first quantitative experiment in plant physiology in 1648. He grew a willow tree for 5 years in a pot containing 200 pounds of oven dry soil. The soil lost just 2 ounces of dry weight, and von Helmont concluded that plants get all their weight from water, not soil. Plant taxonomy. This is the science that finds, describes, classifies, identifies, and names plants. Plant taxonomy is closely allied to plant systematics, and there is no sharp boundary between the two. In practice, plant systematic is involved with relationship between plants and their evolutions, especially at the higher level, developing methods for classifying and naming plants, whereas plant, plant taxonomy deals with the actual handling of plant species or plant specimens. Plant geography or the phytogeography. This is concerned with the geographical distributions of plant species and their influence on the Earth's surface. Plant ecology or the phytogeography. This is concerned with the geographic distributions of this studies the distributions and abundance of plants, the effect of environmental factors upon the abundance of plants, and the interactions among and between plants and other organisms. Rachel Lewis, whose book Silent Spring and other writings are credited with advancing the global environmental movements. Plant morphology or the phytomorphology is the study of the physical form and external structure of plants. Other related science, genetics. This is the science of heredity. Potential development of better agricultural, medicinal, and other useful plants. Cell biology, formerly known as the cytology. This studies cell structure and function. Lastly, economic botany and ethnobotany. This studies the practical uses of plants and plants products. Still vast amounts of botanical information yet to be discovered. For our review, what can you say about the relationships of humans to their environment? What's the effect humans have on the environment? What are human and animal dependence on plants? Explain botany as a science. Explain scientific method. And give examples of botanical disciplines. So this ends our discussions, and see you all again on next chapter.